Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it.
Hey mama, welcome to Fuck It Mothering. My name is Amanda and I am a life coach for moms. I'm an intentional single mom to 4 girls living in sunny Wisconsin. Just kidding, we have like 6 months of winter. My Shih-Tzu Chewbacca is my one true life partner. I laugh too loud, prefer beer over wine, curse like a sailor, and I'm dedicated to teaching other moms the tools to reclaiming their lives. Not in a Kate Chopin The Awakening way. You don't need to give up living and throw yourself into the sea. You can keep your kids and your sanity and also be a whole ass person outside of being that kid's mom. The secret? Learning when to say fuck it. Welcome everyone to another episode of Fuck It Mothering. I'm your host, Amanda Haro, and I have another lovely guest for you. I'm going to let her introduce herself because I'm so excited to just dive into her story.
Thanks so much for having me. My name is Jen Schwytzer. I am a social worker, a coach, and a foster mom.
Because, I mean, you were bored, doing the one thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Why not?
It's not enough to just do one awesome thing. Let's do at least 2 more.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. So what came first of those things?
Social work came first. I've been a social worker for almost 20 years. I've worked a lot in mental health. I've worked in the medical setting, and I burned out. And so that's kind of where coaching came in. And right when I started diving into coaching, I think I went through like a pre-midlife crisis during COVID. And
I think we were just in a global life crisis. The universe was in crisis during the pandemic.
Exactly. So during that time, I was like, let me be a coach and let me be a foster mom. And so off I went on my little journey.
Wait, you did those 2 things at the same time?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. My therapist tells me I add a lot to my plate when I get stressed out. So I do more. I do things backwards.
Oh, that's so much. My therapist tells me. Oh my God, that's so good. Jesus Christ. But that's like a horrible stress response. I'm just going to call it out. That's awful that your brain does that to you. It's like, we're really stressed. Let's do more.
Let's do more. So I don't think about the stress that I'm going through. I'll just add new stuff to think about.
Oh my God. And especially during the pandemic when there's like the world already like turned upside down.
Right.
We already have so much extra stress just that we're not used to. And you're just like, fuck it. Let's do all the stress all at once.
Exactly. Bring it on.
Oh my goodness. So what kind of coaching did you decide to do?
So I started with just general life coaching. I feel like that's where a lot of us coaches kind of start, just trying to figure out what I'm doing. And I've kind of settled into the role of personal and professional development. I do a lot with companies to keep good employees and to prevent burnout and staff turnover.
Oh, that's perfect, since that's exactly what happened to you.
Exactly. So I kind of fell into that. And I've also, in the last couple of months, I've started to venture into foster care coaching. So working with foster parents just to kind of take the reins on their own journey.
Right. And with the foster care, did you always know that you wanted to be a foster mom, or was it something that just kind of found you along the way?
It found my husband and he allowed it to find me.
Okay.
We were in a position where we couldn't have children of our own. And so for him that, he had this really big urge to be a dad. And it was, something that we had talked about adoption and foster care and kind of what road or path we would go down. And it took a lot of convincing on my part. With those motherly instincts, I thought, am I actually going to be able to love and care for a child that's not my own? And so I struggled a lot with those emotions. And then, ultimately I said, okay, let's give it a shot. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll know that it's not for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we are about 3 years later and we're still doing it. So it's been really, really hard, but also really rewarding.
Yeah. So what led you guys towards foster care as opposed to going down the adoption route?
Yeah, so it's so funny. We actually started thinking about adoption. And when you start thinking about adoption, like that is a very, very expensive, long, difficult process.
It is.
And it really is. And, we looked at like international adoption versus domestic adoption. There was just so much that, we actually looked at, overseas in like Asia, and they had crazy criteria that we weren't going to meet. Like we're older, we were over 40, and, they're looking for, young, spry, healthy people. And
I'm sorry, you're over 40?
Yes.
You look like you're in your late 20s.
I wish I was, but I'm not.
Good grief, you look amazing.
Thank you. It's all the stress.
Oh my God.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So it was just like we were jumping through a lot of hoops that we didn't really understand. And it was basically like, how do you market yourself? Like put yourself in a book and show pictures of like, oh, we would be great parents. And something about it just felt a little weird, but we started the process, and very soon after we kind of did the process simultaneously. And just as we submitted our paperwork to work with an adoption agency, we got our first foster placement.
Okay.
And so then everything came like to a halt with the adoption stuff, and we just kind of took off with the foster care.
Okay. Yeah. It's, I had a friend who was looking into adoption, and she was telling me about like the expense and all of the regulations, all of the, the red tape, the hoops, the paperwork. Yeah. And I was like, why in the hell would we pass all these laws to make it so difficult to match up the kids who need parents and the parents who need kids? Like, why? I don't understand.
And like we felt, okay, well, we can make an investment in like our potential future. Like that would be okay. But the idea, the uncertainty behind it, like I already have anxiety, like the uncertainty of like matching with someone and then them deciding like at the last minute, like, hey, this isn't going to work. Or I was like, I don't know if I could do that.
Right. Because the birth mom can like pull out at any minute, basically.
Yeah. Which is obviously their choice and great. Like if they decide like down the road, like, hey, I think I can do this, like wonderful. But on the other side of things, like that's an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
And I thought about that, but then the emotional roller coaster of foster care is also like wild. So either way you go, it's kind of like, well, buckle up.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely wild. So what was that first foster placement like?
Yeah, so he is just the love of our lives. He was with us for almost 2 years. He recently went back to his mom, which is obviously the goal, is reunification with parents. But we had him for almost 2 years. He was a 5-year-old boy, and he came in like a spitfire. Like we were like, oh my gosh, for somebody never having kids, we had him, and he had some special needs, and he was wild. We were like, oh my gosh, we just like watched him run around the house, and we're like, what do we do? Like, those naive, like, parents that have no idea what to do. And he slowly, adjusted well, and he was someone that he's someone we'll always hold in our heart.
Yeah. I can't imagine going from like as a new parent going into like a 5-year-old. They've got a lot of energy.
We just had 9 and 11-year-olds. So 5 was our top age for a while. We just had a placement of 9 and 11-year-old girls. And, we're talking about periods and, transgender and, shaving. And I was like, oh my gosh, like no one prepared me for any of this. Right. Like I go from 5 to 9 and 11. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, all of those like stages are hard. Just if as a mom, period, when they come, even if like you've had the kid since they were born, you're just like, oh, we're here. I wasn't ready for this. But especially for you, where you're just being tossed these ages, and these stages out of nowhere. I can't imagine that your brain's just okay, and we're here.
My husband was like, yeah, I think 11's my max. I'm not sure I'm ready to go over that quite yet. And I was like, yeah, I kind of agree.
Yeah, 11. I have an 11-year-old right now. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah. I feel for you.
It's a big age. It's a big change. Yeah. Lots of changes. Yeah.
I was not prepared. So enjoy. And
I'm waiting for her to turn 12. I'm just this is my least favorite age for you. I'm come on, October. Where's that birthday? Let's go to the next chapter.
Yeah. Let's turn the page and keep going.
Yes. So, being the one in the partnership who was kind of on the fence as far as all of the foster care or adoption goes, how, what are your thoughts about foster care now? How was, I don't know.
Yeah. So it's hard. I think it depends on what day you ask me, because we have some really, really hard days. And
it's the same with me with motherhood. It depends on when you ask me. I'm some days, yeah, I love this. Other days, no, I want to run away.
Yeah. Exactly. And, having, and I don't know, if you've had to deal with this, having a child with special needs, I felt like I was always fighting. I felt like, I was drained because I was, with schools and doctors, and, he needed a test. And I'm like, well, how do you usually test a child with special needs? And they're like, well, we don't. And I'm like, it just felt like a constant, fight. And so during that time, I was super drained. I was feeling really overwhelmed. But then you have those moments of just this is amazing. And this is everything we could have hoped. We were providing this child with a safe, loving place, while their parents work on, what they need to work on. And then he went back to mom, and I thought that I was going to just curl up in a ball and, sleep for days. And I honestly probably would have quit foster care if we didn't have the twins. We have twin babies right now that kind of overlapped our 5-year-old. So if it wasn't for them and having to wake up for them every single day, I'm not sure I would be doing this. It's hard.
Yeah. Like after you form that bond and, you had him for 2 years, that's a really long time. Yeah. It's hard. And then, the way the system works, you don't always have contact with them. And so, I have no idea, if he's loving his new school or, if, so it's a really emotional, and there are some days when I'm like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. And then there are other days, our little babies just smile and coo. They're 9 months old. And I'm like, this is the best thing ever. Oh, so when did you get how old were the twins when you got them?
We got them right from the hospital.
Okay.
So they were 2 months premature. So they stayed in the hospital for about 2 months. And so we got them, they were born in October. We got them in December, and they've been with us ever since.
Oh.
Yeah. So they're doing amazing. They're super cool little kids. And I was telling you, there's some nights that I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? No, one of them didn't sleep at all last night. So, it is what it is. We just kind of roll with the punches and keep going.
Yeah. But again, going back to how wild it is, because the stages in motherhood are crazy just in general. It's this ever revolving door, but it's at least a progression in one direction, but with you, you 5-year-old, newborn twins, 9 and 11. And I'm just, my brain is oh my gosh, because, for me, I had all 4 of my kids, pretty much back to back. I had 4 kids in 6 years. Someone was a toddler for 8 years. That almost killed me. But I'm out of the baby stage right now. Yeah. So before we started recording, I was telling you my oldest daughter is babysitting. And that family has a baby, a 5-month-old. And, I went over earlier yesterday because she sprained her ankle and whatever, but I was changing a diaper and I was thinking like, wow, this is so wild. I haven't been here for a while.
I know. I have another foster care girlfriend. Like the most important thing that I've found being a foster mom is having other foster moms who can kind of like understand those crazy transitions.
Yeah.
But she has a two teenagers, a fourth grader, and then one entering into kindergarten. And she just got called yesterday for a 10-day-old baby.
Oh my gosh.
And so she came over and she's like, Jen, I don't even know what I need. Like, I have no clue. And I'm like, here, just take all of this and like, we'll figure it out.
Right. So. Right. She's almost going backwards. It's like a Benjamin Button situation. Oh my gosh. But you know what? Honestly, like after a teenager, a baby's going to be a cinch.
Yeah, I'm happy to go back to the baby stage after the 9 and 11-year-old. They moved on. And so, I'm back to just the babies and I'm like, whew, maybe I can breathe again.
Yeah.
And then they'll get to toddlers. They'll start crawling and I'll be like, okay.
Yes. Yeah, enjoy them while they are not too terribly mobile.
Exactly.
I remember with my first... Sorry, I missed that last one.
You sit right here and you stay.
Yes, exactly. Like with my first one, I was so excited for her to like get all her milestones. And then she did. And I was like, oh, this sucks. You can get into everything. And my second one, I was like, just take your time. And of course, she went faster than her sister. Exactly. And I cried. By the time I got to the third one, I was literally like, when she started like trying to push herself up, I like gently just pushed her back down. I was like, no, just stop.
I know everyone keeps saying, wait till they start moving. And I'm like, will you stop? Like, let me just enjoy this right now.
That's horrible. That's horrible that they're doing that to you. Just enjoy it. Enjoy where you are right now. It's a beautiful, wonderful place. So how do you find your foster, mom community? Because that's kind of the thing, again, with any mother is just like, you hear everyone talks about the, proverbial village and all this stuff. But then like, it's like, wait, how do I find my village? And then we're all kind of like locked away in our homes, just like suffering silently. So how did you go about finding your foster care community? Did the system like set you guys up? Is there something like that?
Yeah. So thankfully I live in a pretty small community. Like I'm, pretty rural. And so a lot of people know each other. And so when we became foster parents, we would hear like, oh, did you know so-and-so was a foster parent, or so-and-so has had foster kids. And then we also use respite. So if we went on vacation and the child couldn't come with us, we would, use a family that, was also a foster parent. Me, I'm my overprotective, like anxiety-ridden self. I was like, well, I need to know these people. So I would make friends with them before I was okay with sending one of the children that we were caring for to their home. So I found a small community in my own community, thankfully. I have actually tried like some of the Facebook groups, and you get a lot of complaining in there, and you get a lot of like, negativity. And that's just not where I need to be. That's not where I want to live. So for me, it's been, oh, do you know this person who's a foster parent? Or, oh, can I connect you? That's been a little bit more successful for me. And not that we're like, fantastic friends hanging out all the time, but when we need to be like, hey, I need a little bit of support here, these are that I'm turning to. So I wish it was more. I would love to build up something more. But again, like you said, it's so hard to find those people that want to be in a space that you're kind of just uplifting one another rather than complaining all the time and just, curling up in your own ball and being okay with that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know that because I had joined some Facebook like mom groups, and it's just so much bitching and complaining, and I feel like social media just kind of I don't know. It's kind of like the perfect little nest to like attract that. I think it's a lot to do with mindset. People kind of go on social media to like scroll and bitch, basically.
Exactly. Or show like, you know, going to the other side of things, like show all the amazing things of your life. And you're like, oh, well, this person has it all together and I don't.
Right.
So
yeah,
where do I fit
There's
in?
not enough of the gray area of
there really
just
isn't.
real
And
people.
I try. Exactly. And I try and put that out there as much as I can in an effort to try and attract my people. And it's hard. It's hard to find other people in this space that, you know, are so invested that they want that support and it's going to be helpful for them. So if you're out there, I'm looking for you.
I accidentally muted myself. My God, this day. But something that you said too about like going on vacation and the kids can't come with you. I didn't even like think of that piece. That's so crazy. But yeah, that totally makes sense. You can't just take the kid necessarily.
Lines. Yeah.
Right.
So you have to have the permission, you know, and it's probably very different throughout states. I'm in New York State and, you know, we have to have permission to take them out of state and, you know, it has to be written. And if we ever, you know, we don't have any birth certificates or, I mean, we have a letter saying we're caring for this child. And so it's hard. Like if something were to happen out of state, like, you know, you don't have those providers that know who you are and know what you're doing. So they're like, who are you? I just actually read in one of the foster care groups yesterday, this woman had a 7 or 8 year old. And every time she brought her into the store, she would start yelling and she would say, I've been stolen. And, you know, I don't know this person. And the foster mom would have to try and prove that she was, you know, the person legally responsible in that moment. And, you know, it can get really tricky, like, you know, with providers and, you know, law enforcement that don't know who you are or what you're doing. And so, yeah.
Right. Wow. Oh my gosh. That's terrible. That's really terrible.
Like, oh God.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. You're so incredible for doing that. And because it sounds like such an emotional journey and plus all of the legality and all of the, you know, those things that you have to think of and the things you have to balance. You're an incredible person.
Thank you. Well, I'm not like any different than any other mom who's going through any of the other, you know, the same struggles. Like I get you, I feel you. Like we just have a little bit of extra like of that red tape, but
yeah. So what keeps you in the system?
It's a great question. Some days I don't know the answer to that. Our little guys that we have right now, we've had them since they were born. And, you know, every day we wake up and we're really excited. You know, today we're, you know, not so excited because we're up all night, but, you know, most days we're excited to see their cute smiling faces. And, you know, we thrive on it. Like we love being able to provide just a safe space. Like, you know, we feel like we have a lot of love to give. And, you know, even if we can just brighten, you know, a child's life for a short period of time, like it's something that like brings a lot to, it fills a lot of voids for us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really beautiful.
Thanks.
What is the part of foster care that you love the most?
Oh, I think definitely the connections that you make, either with the children or with the other foster parents. I also have a great relationship with my foster care worker, you know, that helps place children in our homes. They know exactly, like they've been working with us for a really long time. They know exactly like what we're capable of, and they place children in our homes that they feel like would be a good fit, and that we can meet their needs. And so I think just the relationships that are built as a result of foster care, with our little twins, we have a great relationship with their maternal grandmother. And so just the idea that we can continue to have some kind of connection to their family is really important for us. And that's a relationship we really, really want to strengthen.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So, but I'm assuming it's not like that with every family.
Correct.
Right.
Yes. And I think I went into this so jaded. Like I went into this like, oh, I'm going to be best friends with like the bio mom and the dad. And like, this is going to be great. Like we'll all be invited to birthday parties and I'm here to like help. And that is not the case at all. Usually it's like foster parents are kind of seen as the person who's taken their children. And, sometimes there's a lot of anger and resentment and we're on the other end of that. And for me, I was like, people would say that and I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'm a really nice person. Like everyone's going to like me. No, that is not the case.
Right. Yeah. That must be so hard to know that in their story, you're the villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
We weren't prepared for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no one's going to warn you about that piece because then no one would sign up to help.
Exactly.
But how do you like?
This is terrible.
Right. But then how do you handle that?
The best you can. I mean, I think for some moms, it might be like having an ex that, is, you don't always get along and you don't see eye to eye and communication is just about the children or communication doesn't happen or, I think you just kind of, for me, it was very much like I'm going to feed off of what they're doing. And so if they want to cut off communication, I'll cut off communication and I'll, send little updates or pictures through the worker. And luckily we have like a middle person and, I will ask for guidance. How should I best handle this situation? And, it could be different for everybody. For our 5-year-old, we did not have a good relationship with mom and we just kind of lived our life and did the best for him, throughout the years. And, when it was time for him to go home, we said, please, I know we haven't had a great start, but if there's anything you ever need, we will be there in a moment's time to help. So,
yeah. Yeah. And, like you said, that's what you can do.
Yeah. And I had to learn that because I like to be in control of a lot of things and to not have any control over what goes on is really difficult. And so figuring out what I could control was a lot of work for me.
Right. Is there any sort of like specific like coaching tool or like just thought process that you walk yourself through to let go of the things that you can't control?
Yeah, for me, I started when we first started becoming foster parents. It was a really incredibly stressful journey, especially with our little guy's mom. And for me, I just had to make sure I was taking care of myself. And so self-care was huge for me. And usually that was like, I would take a 45-minute to 1 hour walk every day just to like clear my mind and think through like, okay, let me kind of work through these things in a calm, like peaceful place rather than trying to figure that out when everything's coming at me. So for me, it was really about taking care of myself, making sure I was still, engaging with friends and family and taking the time out for me. Without that, I don't think I could have made it through.
Yeah. 100%. Self-care is so important no matter what you're going through in your life.
Exactly.
And it's usually the first thing that goes out the window.
Yes.
Especially for moms of any capacity, no matter what kind of a mom you are, that is the first thing to go out the window. So I love that you kept that for yourself. Because it's essential.
It really was. And you're so right. There's that guilt of, well, now I'm taking away an hour of time that I could be spending with him. And they don't care. They want you healthy.
Yeah.
Like they want you to show up like with all of the energy that you can. They don't want you, children don't want you to show up with so much on your mind that, it distracts you or, you're coming in a space where you're feeling kind of negative. Like for me, it was like, I need to get myself together so I can show up better.
Yeah. Yeah. With kids, it's quality over quantity. It doesn't matter if you're spending the amount of time that you're spending with them, it's the quality of the time. And if you're, like what you were saying, if your brain is somewhere else, if you're just thinking about all the stress that you have on your shoulders, like they can energetically feel that. And that's not good. It stresses them out because they don't know what's going on. They're going to try to fix it, even though they don't know what's going on and it's not theirs to fix.
Right. I know. And I saw that with my girlfriend the other day. She was feeling stressed and her son came up to her and said, "What's wrong, mommy? Are you okay? Should I be worried about you?" And I was like, oh, my heart, like, because they can see it. And she just had this kind of serious look on her face, like, but they can see it and they can they're way smarter than we give them credit for.
Yeah, totally. And I think too many of us get trapped in the thinking of just like being strong for your kids. And that looks like shutting down emotionally and like bottling it up and trying to like fake it till you make it, but you're not fooling anybody. You're just confusing them. And then you're like passing on this generational curse of bottling your emotions and not, they need to see you like falling down crying. They need to see you enraged. They need to see you in all of the messy parts and see you get out of it. So that way, when they have those experiences and they have those emotions, they'll be like, I know how to do this. I know how to feel this. Right. It's going to be okay.
Exactly. So true. So true.
Yeah. If there was one thing that you could have fixed, so like if you wrote a senator and they actually did something about it, like what would be one thing that you would want to fix about or change about the way that the system is right now?
I feel like foster parents are always last on the list. A lot of times our system works with the parents and they work with the child, but not always the foster parent. I felt like as a foster parent, I'm always last to know. I feel like I'm not always supported within the state system. And we don't really get the recognition that I think that we should have. Not just me, I'm not saying that I want the recognition. I'm saying that this is such a difficult, hard position to be in, and there's not enough support or community for us. And so I think a way to bring, and I know there's a state conference every year in New York, and I actually went to it and made a lot of fantastic connections, but they need to do more of that. Bringing foster parents together. You're not alone. This is overwhelming. This is hard. Like, you aren't by yourself in doing this. Like, yes, there are, moms that are around that can help support you, but sometimes just knowing that other foster parents are having some of those same struggles is just really validating. And so a change would be like, how can we make the position of being a foster parent just more recognized for what we're actually doing for these kids? And I recognize, there are not some great foster homes. There's been some foster families or situations that have gotten bad names. But, I would say that in any profession, there is bad, there are bad social workers. There are,
there's bad biological parents. Like, we all fuck up. Exactly. That doesn't mean that the fuck ups get to like define the whole.
Exactly. Right. And so, just changing the culture of how we, view foster parents and the support that they have, like it's not a lot. And, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. That support piece is so crucial for so many different areas. It's just like, if we just had some support, it wouldn't be so hard.
Right. I know. Or just somebody to be like, oh, wow, like, I get it. I can listen to that because I get what you're saying.
Yes.
And, same for moms, like, with your, with a situation with your 11-year-old, you're like, another 11-year-old mom, and, to be able to vent and have somebody really understand, like, oh yeah, I get it. It's just like, okay, thanks. Like, somebody gets it. I'm not crazy.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's really all we need. Usually it's nothing really too intense, just like a friend.
Right? Where are the friends out there.
Please, where are the friends? Oh, well, maybe one day you will, in all of your spare time that you totally have to do all of the things. But I could totally see you creating like a virtual community for foster parents, to just create that village and that support that you've always wanted and offer it to everybody.
Yes, I'm working on it. So I'm working on getting there. Someday it'll get there.
It will. It will. I believe in you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, man. I wish my brain was like online, because I know that there are other questions that I could be asking you right now that I can't think of because I'm too fucking tired.
Hey, I'm with you. So
my brain feels like, like when your internet connection's a little bit slow and it's just like a little bit of a lag, things that usually are just like, blip, 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 blip. Like my brain just feels like a little bit of a lag, like I click and then 5 seconds later something happens. That's what's going on in my brain today.
See, we want our 11-year-olds to get jobs, but they just shouldn't. Right?
Yeah. Actually, this is my 13-year-old.
Okay.
But the 11-year-old did have to go with her because, like I said briefly, the 13-year-old sprained her ankle, re-sprained her ankle. So she sprained her ankle on the 4th of July weekend. And then she like re-sprained it yesterday because it hasn't been the same since.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had to run over there and like assess the situation and then run back to my house to grab the 11-year-old and drop her off and then come back here for a client session that ended up getting canceled at the last minute. And I was like, I'm tired.
That's a lot for already happening on a Wednesday.
Yeah. Like it's just, it's been a lot. So, yeah, no, I'm tired, but yes, I know. Like, it's just like, yeah, I want my kids to, I love that they're making money and,
of course,
helping my friend out with her kids the week her daycare lady is on vacation. Like, love that. But, I
don't love it for you.
Don't love it for me. Yeah. Wish there was some public transportation in Wisconsin.
I just stick them on a bus.
Right. Yes. But I mean, at least she's like really close. So it's not like I'm like, I have to drive half an hour to get there. So it's 6 minutes away, but I'm being a baby is what this boils down to.
It's fine.
So of the ages that you've had so far, which has been like your favorite for kiddos?
5. He kept us on our toes, and the baby life is great, but we'd never had a baby before. So we were like, oh, this is fun. Like, we got 2 days notice for the twins, and
wow,
it's like, okay, you're getting newborn twins,
newborn twins coming out of the preemie baby unit. Like,
yeah, they were 4 pounds when we got them. And so,
oh my gosh,
we literally were like, we have to keep these. Like, we literally walked out of the hospital with babies, and I was like, I feel like I'm stealing a child. Like, we had 2 days to prepare. Like, most moms can like read a book, like how to like keep a baby alive. And we did not have that opportunity. And so we were just like flying by the seat of our pants. And like, I mean, we've done okay, but it's just like I'd look at my husband sometimes, or he'd look at me, and I'd be like, I don't know. But I'm sure, like, for moms, like, coming home from the hospital, you're like, how am I supposed to do? Like, okay, is the nurse coming home with me? Is like,
literally, yeah. I was just gonna say, like, it doesn't matter if you have the 10-month lead up and all of the books. It doesn't matter. You still feel like, why are they letting me walk out of here with this child, this tiny human? I am not equipped. Someone needs to license me first.
Right.
Like, all they care.
Well, technically, I'm a licensed foster parent, but I was like, that doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I still don't know what I'm doing. And, we figured it out. Like, it was fun. I mean, it's fun right now. the late nights and the, you know, we could not get them on the same schedule. So we'd be up with one baby, he'd eat, and we were trying to like alternate. Like I would get up once, but it would be like 2.5 hours to feed both babies, change both babies. And then my husband would get up and then he'd be up for 2.5 hours, and then we'd be up in the morning, and we were just trying to like make it all work. And we're like, we've got to be doing something wrong here because something is like that. It was hard. It's hard to figure out. Like,
yeah.
And then there's two, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, what you just described sounds a lot like just baby life, but just with two. And that's hard. Yeah. And that sucks that they're not on the same schedule.
We finally kind of got them on that same schedule, but it took some time. But now we kind of got it down. Like, you know, we take them to like baseball games, and we can take them out shopping, and, you know, they kind of come with us. They just went to a birthday party and did fantastic. And so they're easy to like navigate right now.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know, at this birthday party, I'm watching all the other kids run around and throw toys, and I'm like just sitting there with my little baby. They're like, oh, you're gonna get there, and I'm like, I'm good where I am right now.
Yep. You're like, I'm good, this is fine.
Yep. So it's fun. The 9 and 11-year-old, I had conversations I never thought I would be having in you know, a short period of time, and we had them and we navigated them well. And it, you know, I had to put my social work cap on for a little bit just to kind of get through some of those conversations. And you know, it was interesting. And so, you know, all of them are fun. We've had really great kids come through, and we've loved on them, and they fill a spot in our heart. So,
yeah, 5 is a pretty good age though, because, you know, if you can imagine like the baby phase that you're in now, and then like imagine a toddler, which they're horrible. Like toddlers are the worst. And then preschool, where it's kind of like this weird mix of like a toddler that's a little bit more of a big kid, and they're just, they're not fun. They're a little bit more fun than toddlers, but they're also just like, they need to be in school, you know, like, but they're too young for school.
Well, then it's like half day of school, and you're like, you know, when we had the 5-year-old, I had to leave my job initially because I couldn't work a 9 to 5 while my husband was also working, because he wasn't in school, he wasn't in daycare, and he needed all kinds of, you know, testing with his special needs. And you know, there was no way, like, and my husband and I would say to each other all the time, I don't know how single parents do this. Like, it is so difficult to parent even with 2 children or 2 parents, and have a child that, you know, might not have daycare or might not be enrolled in school yet. And you're going through all those motions. And like, I don't know how one person could do that. I just don't. Like, it doesn't even seem imaginable to me. I couldn't do it without my husband.
Single mom of 4 here. It's possible. You just,
oh my gosh,
you just do it. You know,
I just don't, it's like, so you're telling me that I'm amazing. Like, you're amazing. Like, I just don't know how, like, you have it together.
I have a laundry basket right here in my frame. But, you know,
I just don't know how. Like, I just don't think we could have made it with one person. I just don't.
You would have.
I mean, you're right.
You don't think you would have, but you would have, because like we just kind of do what we need to do, right? You know, people look at your situation and they're just like, oh, there's no way I could do that. Yes, you could. Yes, you could. Like, in a past lifetime, I was a theater major in school, and one of my directors would always tell us whenever we were struggling with like a character, like just kind of like relating to the choices the character was making. And, you know, we would always come up with this thought of just like, well, I'm just having a hard time because like I would never do that. And she would like, in the right circumstances, you would. And her thing was always just like, anybody is capable of anything if they're put in the right circumstances. So this character's circumstances aren't the right ones to push you to do this thing. So your work is to go home and figure out what your circumstances would be, but you would totally do this if you were put in your right circumstances. And it's just like that. we're so good. Humans we figure it out, you know, we do what we need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You're so right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you would totally figure it out. But yeah, it's hard when they're in preschool and they aren't in that preschool age, and, either you can't afford daycare or it's just not an option for whatever reason. And you're just like, what do I do with this fucking kid? You gotta go somewhere.
Right. Right. It was wild. So when before we started recording, when you said, your daughter might walk in, I was like, this has happened to me so many times. I'd be on a call and I'd just have a kid running behind me, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But you know what? That's why I'm in a job that's flexible, because I have to be. Mm-hmm. And, I have to be in that space where if somebody has a doctor's appointment, I can take them. And everything is figureoutable.
Yes. I love that book so much. It's so good.
I know.
Yes, exactly. But it's also just and anybody who's been listening to my podcast for any amount of time will they've heard me say this so many times, but I'm going to say it again. The workforce, as we know it now, was designed by men for men who didn't have a family life. And this is why it does not work for modern people, men and women included, but especially women, because, we've progressed so much as a society, but the mass majority of household shit still falls on the woman. It just does. Yep. That's why the workforce and the workplace, the way it has been forever, does not work, because it was designed by men who didn't have to balance a family life.
Exactly.
And we have to, the workplace has to shift. It has to, because if they want to keep employees, that's why there's such an uptick in entrepreneurs and people doing side hustles and just figuring their own shit out, because we have to have that balance, because we're now in a generation where we just like our families.
Right. And, I recently did a presentation for a group of, there were social workers and administrators. And, it's really, it was an organization that works with the older population. And somebody in the audience said, I don't work for an agency that really values work-life balance. What do you do in that situation? My initial answer was, sounds like that's not a good fit for you if you if it's important to you, because you're not going to, one person is not going to change a culture of the workplace. It needs to come from the top down. Mm-hmm. And so really making sure when you're looking for jobs that, their values align with yours, because if they don't, it's not going to be a good fit, and you're not going to probably change that. One person in an organization, unfortunately, probably can't change that.
Right. Yeah. But just socially and culturally and just countrywide, we gotta shift it. It does not work for us at all.
Exactly.
People and that's, have a personal life. They have a family life. Exactly. And it doesn't make you unprofessional. If my kid, I'm shocked, by the way, I'm shocked that she's still sleeping. There's some sort of God who loves me. But if she came in, that doesn't make me unprofessional.
No.
It just means I have a fucking kid. Person. Okay?
Right. Yeah. It makes you a real person. And I think sometimes that's relatable.
Yes.
I think that, I've had a call and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but our babysitter canceled and I have an infant on my lap right now and I'm feeding him. I will still give you 100% of, maybe 98% of my attention, but there is a baby down here, just so you know, if I'm rocking like this.
Exactly. It doesn't negate the value that you're giving. It doesn't take away your experience and your expertise and your knowledge. That is why they're paying you. They're paying you for your expertise and your knowledge and the things that you have to offer. That doesn't get taken away just because you have a baby on your lap.
No. Yeah. It's part of being human. It's part of being a mom. It's part of just life. And, for those people that might think you're unprofessional, then for me, that's not the right fit for me.
Correct. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really enjoyed this conversation. You just have like such a light about you. I know that you're exhausted, but you still just like are so like happy and you just like have a light. So thank you for sharing your light with us. Please let us know where people can get in touch with you if they want to connect.
Yep. I am on Instagram at kindfulness_coaching, or you can find me on the web at kindfulnesscoaching.com.
Perfect. And I will link those in the show notes. I like to end every guest episode with a round of lightning questions. So are you ready?
Yes.
Awesome. What did you want to be when you grew up?
A marine biologist.
Okay. You are not the first person to say that. That is odd.
That shows my age. 40-year-olds, we love the marine biology life.
That is so weird. What had you interested in that?
No clue.
Okay.
None whatsoever.
My other guest who wanted to be a marine biologist, she said the same thing. She was like, I don't know. It was just random.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Okay.
I can't even swim. No clue.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. That's so good. What is your favorite kid-free dinner? So if no picky eaters are allowed to bitch, moan, or complain, what are we having for dinner?
Nachos and queso and probably a taco.
Nice. What is your favorite book?
I just read, I read a lot. So I will say, I just read The Women by Kristen Hanna, and it was fantastic. So it sticks out in my brain as one of the better ones.
Nice. Is it a fiction?
Yes.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. I've been on like a really big like self-help and business book kick. Usually I have like a pretty good rotation of different things going on.
Yeah.
But I have like way too much like self-help business, just like increase my mind things. I want a fiction right now.
Sometimes I have to put those down, but Jen Schwytzer is my favorite, like kick you in the butt kind of girl.
Yes.
But yeah, The Women is the women nurses of Vietnam.
Ooh, that sounds really good. Yeah. I'm going to check that one out. What is your favorite guilty pleasure entertainment?
Below Deck on Bravo.
Oh, I've heard of that show. Rich people on boats, right? Yes. How many people fall off? Like just go overboard?
Not a lot, because you could get sent back to dock for that.
Oh.
There's a lot of rules on these big yachts that I will probably never know, because I will never be on a big yacht like that. But there are a lot of rules that you have to follow, and it is insane. So not a lot. I think maybe one or two have fallen off.
But in general, they try to keep all the drunk people away from the rails.
On the boat. Yeah.
This question I have stolen from the Low Life podcast because it's too good not to steal. If your belly button was an actual button, what would it do?
It would put me to sleep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very mom answer.
Yeah.
You're just like, I just want some sleep. Oh, man. And finally, what's one thing in motherhood you'd like to say fuck it to?
Oh, for me as a foster mom, the system.
Yeah, I figured that was going to be your answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the bureaucracy.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you get that nap. I know the button isn't real, but I hope you get that nap.
I'm going to try it later.
Are you ready to learn how to prioritize yourself? To ditch the wash, rinse, repeat stress cycle you've been stuck in for good? To connect with the amazing, badass, unique woman you are and let her flaunt her badassery with reckless abandon? Click the link in my show notes to sign up for one of my on-the-go coaching packages so you can live your one wild life to the fullest now. No need to schedule anything in that overflowing calendar of yours. This is coaching that works around your schedule, no matter how chaotic it gets. Coaching for the busy mom, designed by a busy mom. No more excuses. You've put yourself off long enough. It's time to be the main character of your own life again, don't you think? See you next week, gorgeous.